So the Madison Season 2 is already making noise, and honestly, something feels different this time. Not just new season, new drama different, but like the entire emotional tone is about to shift. And if you watched Season 1, you already know that's a big deal. Because let's be real for a second, Season 1 was heavy. Like, emotionally draining, sit and stare at the wall after each episode heavy. Grief, loss, broken relationships, it wasn't just a storyline, it was a whole experience. And now suddenly, we're hearing things like new beginning. Excuse me, since when does the Madison believe in fresh starts? But here's where it gets interesting. The cast has been dropping hints, and not the subtle kind. We're talking about more emotional risks, more honesty, and surprisingly, a little bit of light creeping in. Yes, light. In this show. I know, it sounds suspicious already. Apparently, Season 2 is going to focus less on just surviving grief, and more on what comes after it. And that's where things get uncomfortable. Because moving forward doesn't always mean healing, it sometimes means letting go. And from what we've seen, these characters are not exactly great at letting go, are they? Take Stacy, for example. By the end of Season 1, she wasn't just grieving, she was completely lost. Running away from her life, ending up in Montana, holding on to memories like they're the only thing keeping her alive. And now we're supposed to believe she's ready for a new beginning, or is this one of those situations where she thinks she's moving forward, but she's actually just running in circles? Because let's not forget, this is the same woman who literally chose isolation over facing reality. And now suddenly, she's embracing change. Yeah. I'm not fully buying it. And here's the part nobody is talking about enough. Montana is not just a random escape. It's becoming something bigger. Almost like a silent character in the story. A place where people don't just heal, they transform. And if Stacy is staying there longer, then we might be looking at a completely different version of her in Season 2. But different how? Stronger? Colder? Or maybe, someone who starts making choices we didn't see coming. Because when people lose everything, they don't always rebuild the same life. Sometimes, they build something unrecognizable. And if this new beginning is really about change, then we need to ask the real question, who is Stacy becoming? And more importantly, will we even recognize her when she finally finds herself? Or is this the beginning of something much darker than healing? And if you think Stacy is the only one heading into unpredictable territory, oh, it gets messy. Let's talk about Paige for a second. Because her situation. Yeah, that's not just figuring life out anymore. That's full-on chaos waiting to explode. She already lost her job, almost landed herself in jail, and now she's clinging to whatever stability she can find. And right now, that stability looks like Russell. But here's the thing, when has the Madison ever let something stable stay stable? Exactly. Russell seems like the perfect support system. Calm, understanding, always there when Paige is spiraling. Almost too perfect, right? And you know what that usually means in shows like this. Either something about him isn't what it seems, or life is about to test that relationship in the worst possible way. And then there's that little detail people keep brushing off, his comments about wanting kids. Now tell me, was that just casual conversation? Or was that the writers quietly setting up something big? Because if Paige is really stepping into this new beginning, then starting a family sounds like the obvious next step, but is she actually ready for that? Or is she just trying to fill a void she doesn't know how to deal with? Because there's a difference between building a future and using it as a distraction. And speaking of complicated futures, Abby. Her story might actually be the most frustrating one to watch. Because you can see what she wants, and yet she keeps running in the opposite direction. Her connection with Ben? Still there. Very obvious. Very unresolved. And yet, instead of facing it, she's stuck in this loop of doubt, trust issues, and emotional walls. Now here's where Season 2 might flip everything. If Abby ends up going to Montana, and let's be honest, she probably will, that changes everything. Distance disappears. Old feelings come rushing back. And suddenly, all those unresolved emotions. Yeah, they won't stay buried anymore. But here's the real question: what if this new beginning doesn't mean fixing old relationships? What if it means ending them for good? Because sometimes closure doesn't come from getting back together. Sometimes it comes from finally walking away. And knowing the Madison, they're not going to give us the easy, romantic answer. Now let's get into what everyone is waiting for, the release. Season 2 is already filmed. Which, let's be honest, is both exciting and slightly suspicious. Because if everything is ready, then what exactly are they waiting for? Shows don't just sit on completed seasons for no reason. Either they're planning something big, or they're holding back because this next chapter changes everything. And considering how much they're teasing this new beginning, I wouldn't be surprised if Season 2 feels almost like a soft reset. Same characters, but completely different energy. Different choices. Different consequences. And maybe, different endings. So now the real question isn't when Season 2 is coming. It's, are we actually ready for what it's about to do to these characters? Because if this new beginning comes at the cost of everything they used to be, then tell me, are we about to watch them heal?